How's it going, my flesh and blood fans? So today we're going to do a little bit of a recap of the keynote that happened at the Worlds of Philly. So the new set that was announced, Compendium of Wraith, we're going to discuss about that. As we do, last supplemental set that we actually had, Dusk Till Dawn, is what we will open during it. I felt like it was the best fitting. I also got this box while I was at Worlds, so we'll see what we get here. A lot of newer players are not going to know what a supplemental set actually was for the game and how it's going to affect it. I honestly thought this was something that we really needed. Starts helping a lot of these older heroes that are struggling with the meta and giving them a little bit more of a boost. With that said, this is also supposed to improve Silver Age as well, so we might get some really interesting commons and rares coming out of this set as well. They did say there's going to be a cold foil in 1 in 8 packs. We'll see how that goes. It might end up being too much overkill with the cold foils, and they're not going to be very expensive, which is fine. It's just usually you like to pull something that's actually exciting to get, where if you're seeing 3 or 4 of them out of a box, it might not be as exciting. But we'll see how that goes. They didn't mention anything about Majestics. I didn't look into the details of the set. I'm assuming there's going to be some in there. We're also getting a massive amount of reprints, which is very much needed. We'll see how common they are to pull. We're also getting the gold packs again, which I think adds a lot of hype to it. But supplemental sets are really nice. If you're into older heroes, as I am, most people that I know that are considered newer are from Bright Lights, so it has been a while, and they're going to see some of their older heroes as like Max and such like that get some improvement, which they'll end up appreciating. And it actually might encourage them to try some of the older heroes from the game as well that are still floating around in the meta. So I'm really excited. I really hope that there isn't going to be any short printing of this set, because it's a lot of stuff that we're going to need to improve the heroes that we have. I can't stress that enough. We were very much needed for this set. As far as the Silver Age stuff, I think there's going to still be some issues. I think there's definitely some heroes that are overpowering. There's also some classes that are overpowering as well, which hopefully this stuff can be adjusted before they start doing some of the big events for Silver Age. The voting system, I don't see it going well. I feel like some people are just going to hate something and just keep bashing it, but I could be wrong. You can let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. And then these tournament packs, I think they were called, that's pretty cool. They said there's going to be some unique staples in them as well. I think that's going to be better well received than getting some of the promotionals that you've been getting for attending events. Because usually it's something that's related to the newer set, and it could possibly be cards that nobody's really playing. So it doesn't really add any value to them. I think they're just seeing how well the gem packs have been received, which they have. I think that's going a good direction. I also think the set's going to a new direction. The Sage is a little bit iffy, but if that's the worst thing we have to deal with, it's something that can be fixed and managed. Looking at the set lineup, we're only going to be getting 3 sets this year, which is absolutely fine considering that we also have 2 master sets coming out. We will see what classes they choose for these mastery packs. They're saying it's supposed to be better than what we got from Guardian. Guardian just ended up pulling the short straw on that one. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll be something good. It's just, even though you're only seeing 3 sets this year, I feel like we're technically getting 5. Now, me personally, I think that might be a little much, but it's them experimenting and seeing how things are going to work going forward. We also have the Armory deck Origins hero that was revealed Hala. Gonna depend on the weapon to see if this is going to be any good. As far as I know from the ability text, it's you're pitching 3 to use something called Sharpen, which is putting a -1 counter on your weapon, and then the 1 counter ends up getting removed. So unless this is a powerful weapon that maybe using the Sharpen's going to push a breakpoint, that might be worth it. But from what's seeming, you're probably gonna have to pitch in 2 cards to actually use it, so it's like a risk and reward thing. That is one thing that I've started noticing, and I think others have as well. I feel like they're really afraid to start making good weapons again. Ever since after heavy hitters, I feel like they've just been afraid to make good weapons at this point, which is a little disappointing because it was nice to have that as a failsafe when you end up having to block a lot with your cards and ways to strategize and get back into the game. That's just my complaint out of the whole thing. Overall, I think everything is going to go very well as far as with everything we were announced for the keynote. As far as the rest of my experience while I was at Worlds, did a few side events. I wasn't taking them seriously, just went and had fun. It was great. I ended up doing the calling for a Living Legend. I was playing Chain. I know he's been getting hit a lot. I was doing a lot of testing with Zen, but after Viscera, I learned about using Chains of Eminence. Zen really had a tough time trying to pull games in. Even though, funny enough, there was a Zen that won the calling. I didn't get to see his deck list, but I'm quite interested to see how he pulled that off. Maybe he just decided to say, forget about the chi, I don't know. Or he was just getting the hands he really needed and his opponents didn't. That's just kind of the way it goes now with Flesh and Blood. But yeah, I ended up going 2-3 and then dropping because you had to be 6-2 to advance. I ran into 3 Viscerais, and that's probably our worst matchup, so that was a bummer. And I lost to a Starvo second round. Another Viscerai, so didn't win that one, being 1-2. It was tough. Then I ended up beating the Zen, and then again another Viscerai. And it's not like it's unwinnable for Chain, at least for the version that I had. I kind of stayed away from the Rune Gate, but you pretty much have to play everything perfectly, and that was the mistake I made in the very last round I had before I dropped, was not realizing that he didn't have a B. I had a Bounding Demigod and 2 Funeral Moons in my Banish, and I popped my Vexing Quell hand. He was getting low on damage, and I was at 1, so it was kind of I gotta go all out. And I had like 5 counters on my Duskblade. I made the mistake by using Chain's ability to activate the Funeral Moon, where I could have just activated to the Bounding Demigod, pinged the Arcane that I needed, then I could use Funeral Moon, and I still had resource left to pitch into the Duskblade, because I had blue in hand. So it was unfortunate, but I didn't get to really test enough into Chain, and that's just kind of something you need to do in the game, is you need to test a lot, and you need to know your deck very well as your opponents. That's all I have for today. I'm very excited to see how the game's going to evolve moving forward. Hopefully this set really shakes up the meta, because the meta has been kind of the same long enough. This was actually a really nice box. We ended up cracking a Cold Foil Scowling Flesh Bag, which is a pretty good card. It covered the price of the box and then a little bit extra. I am always more than happy to discuss things with you guys down in the comments. So please feel free at any time if you want to discuss more things about the keynotes, or if you had any questions about anything that I said. I can try my best to clear it up a little bit better for you. As always, like and subscribe. We're getting close to about having 20 more subscribers to open the last 2 boxes I have of WTR Unlimited for the 200 subscriber break. If you haven't seen that, down in the market playlist with the 100 subscribers, me and my friend Josh, we cracked open the first 2 boxes, discussed the market for that set. This time around, we'll discuss the current market, and we didn't crack any legendaries yet, so we might get one out of these 2 boxes. Please subscribe so I can hit that mark and I can find out what I pull. That's enough for now. Thank you all, and take care.